Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new season on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thursday night, we're back for some more Stars and Stripes Racing League action. Season 7 is upon us. And we're right back to where it usually begins for most seasons. Daytona International Speedway for the Firecracker 200 here tonight. A lot of drivers excited for this new season. We are as well. Brand new cars that these drivers are going to be running. They might look similar to last season. They got more horsepower, more speed, and a lot to handle for these drivers here tonight as the Stars and Stripes Racing League, known for going throughout different vehicles. They started out with the ARC car, went through the Trucks, Xfinity, Gen 6 Cup car, Gen 7 Cup car. Last season, they had to go back to the ARCA machine because they had used up all of the cars. Well, a brand new machine came into play in the middle of last season. That is the Gen 4 Cup car, taking the specs of the ARCA machine, bumping it up with some more horsepower, and it certainly should be a good season to watch here this evening. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. Zach, I know you got to get a little bit of a preview driving this machine last night in the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, but man, how are you feeling to get to be in the booth to watch these vehicles on track?
It's going to be fun, Sam. I'm excited for this, man. This is a tough racetrack, especially with this Gen 4 Cup car. I think that's the big talking point heading into tonight for sure after they come off their ARCA season last season. I mean, they got to experience it one time last season with a little bit of the hiccup iRacing had there at the time while the Gen 4 did not exist. It was the glitch that happened there on the ARCA car to give it more horsepower, and this car became in existence with that. So it's definitely added some spice and some flair into things, and I'm telling you what, from what I learned last night, these drivers are going to have their hands full, especially because now we're under the daytime conditions. This track's only going to have less grip, and the tires are going to only wear more. The speeds are going to be high. It's going to be a lot of aggression here early shown, and I mean a ton of drivers here showing up tonight. This is going to be a really fun race to watch.
Looking to be 37 drivers expected to run here this evening, and practice is done, which means we are moving into qualifying. All these drivers are going to have 2 laps to put down their fastest lap within 5 minutes, and if you are not able to put down your 2 laps within those 5 minutes, it is either 1 lap that you put in will count that 1 lap time, or you will start at the tail end of the line and be grouped with all the other drivers that decided not to qualify. And Zach, we like to talk about trends. That's something that we're trying to do a lot more of, certain trends that we see. Well, a trend that you might not want to go for during qualifying is get the pole award. No driver who's gotten the pole has won here at Daytona in this league in the Stars and Stripes. So for somebody, they might want to go for the glory of the pole, but Zach, with the trends, you might not want to.
Trends are definitely there, and they are frequently replicated. That's why they become trends, but they're also there to be broken. So I think all these drivers are going to be trying to go as fast as possible, of course, to get that pole position. Even though it's never been won from that position before, it definitely can be done. So we'll see who can get the pole position here and see if they can break that trend. That's definitely been a reoccurring thing here in the past. But the one thing I will say with this qualifying session, we usually come to these restrictor plate tracks where you're bump drafting, you're in these small little groups, and you can make a ton of passes because of the draft and the availability just to stay in it throughout the whole entire race. With it here tonight, I think track position is going to matter much more than it normally will with our other style vehicles that we hit around here, especially with this track not being the widest. We go to Talladega, that place you can get 4 wide very easily, even and 3 wide is a breeze. 3 wide around here is tough, and in 4 wide is almost impossible. So it's very tough when you come to Daytona to try to spread out all over the track. And with the handling issues they're going to have from the tire wear, the speeds that they just generate, I mean, upwards of 209 mile an hour, some of these cars will be carrying in the draft once we get going. And it makes it very tough. So it makes it hard to pass. And I think that's why this qualifying session is going to be just that much more critical.
Well, here comes some of the first times. First lap at half the field deciding to qualify and put down their fastest times possible. It's going to be the newcomers trying to top the board. 77 of Waylon Turner had the lead for a second, but it's the driver we're right on board. First lap, 07. Zachary Nelson takes the top of the board. Take that away. It's now the 3 of Christian Lushin going to be now taking the top. Some of the rookies that are going to be joining us, we got about that of 5 to 7 expected to be running here tonight. It's exciting to see the new rookie class on who's going to have the speed, especially at super speedways. Right now, it's the 07 of Zachary Nelson. fast time. He's third currently on the board, but he's going to see if he can climb a little bit more of extra time. Out of turn number 4, trying to stay neat and tight. He was very much off of that yellow line, trying to keep the momentum the best that they can down to the apron to shorten the distance around this course. And Zachary Nelson, 8th on the board on that first lap, pushing him up to 6th as Ross Tatum now takes the top spot.
Great lap there from Ross to put himself up top, and he got a little experience last night, so we'll see what he learned from that. Scott Rickard's going to jump up to the 2nd position back in the Classic 05 for him. Love to see that. Now watching the 2 here, Mike Lynch and a few others try to put their times in, but it seems like nobody's been able to topple over that 48.405 for Ross Tatum. Looks like Christopher Wade's going to come close though for 2nd here.
And now coming across the line, the 54 machine, last season's champion, going to be that of Andrew Hess. Slow on the first lap, 2nd lap though, bouncing only up to 15th. Andrew Hess, not known for being the fastest at super speedways, but a lot more consistent at our traditional intermediates and short tracks. So the 54 can translate that speed moving forward as we hop on board with the 11 of Thomas Ogle as he's on his final lap.
We go out of 3 and 4 right here, keeping it nice and pinned tight and low to that yellow line. That's to decrease the distance to that line. The lower you can stay, the shorter it is to the start finish line. Now going to go down onto the apron, and that's also to shorten that distance. We'll see where Ogle ends up. Looks like it'll be 13th with that time of a 48.47 is the times. I mean, they're so close. I mean, even Dylan Grimm and Ross Tatum, they're tied technically up top. They had to go to the 4th digit to give Ross Tatum that lead.
Yeah, I mean, going to the 4th digit, that is millimeters that you're talking about on the distance. As we have the 30 machine going to be on track, getting ready to take off. That's going to be Joshua Robinson, who is going to be having their final lap of qualifying, bouncing up to 7th place. Getting to show off some of the new graphics for this season. It's been a pleasure. Want to give a huge kudos to our producer, Robert Moria Jr., on all the hard work this offseason to get himself and the season prepared. As June White, 09, topping the board just in the last second by 0.003 of a second over Ross Tatum and Dylan Grimm. Stealing the show just late as qualifying gets a little bit dramatic as the rookie wants to show an impact here early.
What a lap there. That I don't think he could have been any closer when it comes to the time limit. So congrats to June White there, and love to see how these 38 cars line up here, Sam.
As drivers getting gridded up on the apron, let's take a look at your starting grid here tonight for the Stars and Stripes Racing League. June White, 09, going to be taking the full award. Ross Tatum in the 21, going to be in 2nd place. Dylan Grimm starting in 3rd. Andrew Medlin going to be in 4th with Christopher Wade, a driver that's won here multiple times. Hoping to get another win at Daytona is 53 in 5th. Scott Rickard, a past champion back in season 2, will start in 6th. Rookie Waylon Turner going to be in 7th. 8th was Joshua Robinson. Zach Wrights moving back to the 46th in 9th position. And 10th is Kyle Bowling moving back to the 44 machine.
In the 11th position, it's the one of Will Bustler. Alongside him will be the 12th, the champion of Kyle McCoy there. Past champion that's definitely been one to compete for all of those. 13th is going to go to James Lowe. 14th is going to go to the 07 of Zachary Nelson. 15th position is going to be held by Brian Lynch. 16th is going to be the 11 of Thomas Ogle. 17th is the 25 of Nate Lynch. 18th position is Patrick Hasty. 19th is going to be the 8 of Jason Gratton. And rounding out the top 20, it's Brian Chu.
Then another newcomer in 21st position, going to be Chris Whirl in the 6th machine. In 22nd position, the 3 of another rookie of Christian Lushin. And then in 23rd, Andrew Hess, last season's champion. Hope to continue on with some championship luck. In 24th, the 88 of Tim McNally. 25th position is the 2 of Mike Lynch. 26th is Brian Pierce, back running in a 38th machine. That of George Topisic in 27th. Derek Offerman in 28th. 29th will be the last driver to put down a time of Ryan Lynch. And Trey Jackson starting the drivers off that decided not to qualify in 30th.
In the 31st position, it's going to be the 4 of Aaron Hill. 32nd is going to be held by the 94 of Joshua Maltese. 33rd is going to be Doug Pierce. 34th, Jonathan Woods. 35th is going to go to the 33 of Brian Burchett. 36th, Zachary Peterson. 37th, Max Ward. And rounding out our field of our 38 cars, it's Victor Classic.
And Victor trying to get back into the session. Might be missing the start of the grid is the 100 machine. So 37 drivers will start on track for this 80-lap race at Daytona. No stage break. And the drivers for only at super speedways of Daytona and Talladega, counting tonight, is one fast repair for these drivers to work with. The rest of the season, there will be no fast repairs for those drivers. And Zach, something that might turn into something very crucial to talk about, tires. They've only got 3 sets to work with here this evening in pit road.
Only 3 sets for sure, Sam. And I tell you what, the tire wear is going to be huge. I know from last night, my experience in this car, the tire wear was very extreme. The handling conditions got very, very bad as the run went on. Much more heat here in this racetrack than the one we seen last night at WSSR. I think you'll see even more tire wear. And the other thing is, again, no stage yellows, no competition cautions to bring it to a stop. And if we are to go green, this race can be done in a one stop. They have a full 18.7 gallon fuel tank here, and they can go about 45 laps. So this race is doable in one stop all the way to the end. But we'll just have to see who can, manage those tires and manage their positioning here well enough, and see if we can keep it green for that.
Yeah, keeping it green is going to be a key thing to watch out for. Also, another rule to watch out for is there is no passing under the double yellow line. You see that line? If you're going to make a pass advancing your position forward, got to make sure you stay on the racing surface and do not go below. We'll see that be more of a tactic later on in this race, but it's time to go green. Pace car is off into the restart zone. The Firecracker 200 here at Daytona. Season 7 is underway as it's going to be the 09 of June White. Rolling on the inside lane, the 21 of Ross Tatum on the outside as they roar down into turn number 1.
Already heading off in the one here side by side. Let's see which line gets lined up better. And that's the thing. You can push in these cars. You will see bump drafts happen, but it is very dangerous to play with. If you give too much of an aggressive bump, you can easily end up spinning somebody. And look at this June White already jumping up here aggressive.
No!
This is going to get spun by 21.
Comes up onto the bumper, gets spun around off the exit, and it's down on the apron, so we stay green. No, we're not. A giant wreck on the backstretch, collecting multiple drivers as just the checkup from that initial spin ricocheted all the way back, and our first caution just on lap 1.
Checkups will be a huge detriment. We'll see all night long here at this racetrack with the way these front bumpers scoop up the person ahead of them. If someone checks up and doesn't get slowed down, the wrecks will pile up. And really that all kind of started around that 11 machine of Thomas Ogle, the 9 of Patrick Hasty, as it really started a huge stack up after that first initial contact with our leaders up front.
Yeah, the 9, the 8, multiple drivers caught up in this one as we're getting our replay up and involved with that wreck. Drivers, again, do have a fast repair to work with. Looks like no one is going to be necessarily forced to use a fast repair, meaning if you're given a black flag with an orange circle, that is a required damage flag that drivers are given if you have too much damage and your car is not drivable. And luckily no one was given that flag, but still got to come into pit road and get some damage repair. And Zach, I know that's something that drivers last night when we were watching the WSSR Cup Series, there was times where drivers didn't feel like they needed to use that fast repair, but who knows about this one? You see June White going for the spill, and then it's the chain reaction behind.
Yeah, this chain reaction is so devastating here. You're going to see people checking up on this outside line, and I think Ogle seeing that there, that car right in the middle there, that 11 car, checks up a little bit more just to make sure nothing else is happening. And I think it just causes, 2 drivers behind him not to be able to check up as well. And the third driver gets into the second driver. And from there we go spinning. Jason Gratton involved in it. Just multiple cars here caught up in just a accordion effect. That is very classic to happen here, especially with this style of racing here with these cars.
A lot of drivers having different ways they had to get through. I mean, I think one of the drivers that really had a scary moment was last season's champion out of Andrew Hess. So you got to see all of that in his windshield as he was driving through. And I mean, Zach, there's a lot of opportunities. Talked about aggression could be a factor to watch out for, but you just don't have time to react. As you'll see here, drivers slamming on the brakes and just no time to do so.
No time to react at all. And you can't see very well ahead. It's hard. It's so hard when you're, inside the cockpit trying to make these split-second decisions. And I will also say the brakes in this car, not the strongest. I mean, this is an older style race car. It is got very inferior brakes when it comes to something like the next gen or other cars where you're carrying less speed, you have more time to slow down. Here with this car, you're carrying tons of speed and the brakes don't work well. It is a recipe for disaster when you have those yellows. So it's something we're going to see a lot of tonight. And again, like going back to what you said, Sam, it's going to be kind of picking and choosing when you want to use that fast repair and not, because if you have too much damage, you can easily go multiple laps down, and it doesn't matter if that fast repair you go so many laps down that it just doesn't matter. You get caught out by the race staying green, or you take that fast repair early and then you get caught in something again because you're far back. So it's always hard to weigh those options of when do you want to use it, but you just got to kind of fill it out, and hopefully the decision you make is the right one.
Well, you could say June White from the pole all the way back to last place, biggest loser of this incident. The driver that probably is the biggest winner, Victor Clase, who missed the start of the race, who had to start on pit road after disconnecting during qualifying, then getting reconnected right before they took off. The 100 machine is going to be starting now on the lead lap with the drivers ahead. So the 100 still in the fight. The 09 is going to have to work their way forward, as all drivers 29th position back to 38th had to get some type of damage repair for themselves or decided to top off on fuel. Interesting calls on the drivers that are deciding to top off, especially Zach, when you touched on it. This race technically is a one-stop from here to the end of this run.
It technically is that one stop, so they're not going to need extra fuel. The fuel will help the race car, though. It does actually help these race cars stay a little more planted in the racetrack, lower the rear end, get the spoiler out there a little more, so you can technically gain a little bit of speed, but these are minuscule amounts. I mean, you're micros of a millimeter because of how much fuel difference is between these cars. So it's not a great difference right now. I think just more or less people are just putting it in there just for the sake of putting it in there, and we'll see how it works out for them. But Ross Tatum there jumping through the lead with how that worked out. Looking at that first kind of incident that happened there off the two, June White jumping up to the top there. I'm not surprised to see the contact there, just due to the fact of, again, when you make these moves in this car, you have to be so sure that either the person one is going to check up behind you, or you made that move early enough to where that person can get slowed down, because it's just you're picking and choosing with how certain people are going to work in that situation. Some drivers are not going to back out of it, some drivers are, and that's going to cause issues when it comes to these bumpers, and you're going to see people getting spun. So we'll see how that works out. But man, I tell you what, already an early start here with some carnage. I think we could see a little bit more here as we continue on.
Very possible that cautions could breed cautions. I think for everyone, they want to get into a green flag run, settle in, get prepared. 80 laps is going to be the full distance for tonight's race. There have been races in the past that have had to go into overtime. There's been a total of 4 in the past 6 races that have gone into overtime, but you don't want to use up your fast repair early. Luckily, no one has just yet, but some of the drivers further back in the field could have to deal with some of that major damage. Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin going to be getting themselves ready to go back to green flag racing up front. Pace car is off at the start of lap 5. Well, let's try this start over again. The Firecracker 200 at Daytona is back underway.
Great start from the bottom lane there. You see the connection between Grimm and Ross Tatum, but it's also up top, Andrew Medlin and Scott Rickard, who look to have a little bit better connection up there up on that top groove. They may be able to get a better run here coming off of 2, but the thing that's going to hurt them, no help from behind. The next car back is multiple car links, and that inside line is building up a ton of energy right now.
And that driver that's on the back 30 machine, Joshua Robinson, seeing where he wants to place himself. Looks like the 30 machine willing to just settle in inside lane. Very aggressive on how they're wanting to push, but it's the 2 drivers on their lonesome of Andrew Medlin, Scott Rickard, really muscling their way forward, but aren't able to commit to that pass. Too much momentum on the inside.
Too much momentum indeed, but now the outside line's starting to form up. They got 3 more cars to come help push them forward. Looks like Kyle McCoy at the back of that line there, as they'll add another 2 additionally to that, and it's just starting to double file up. And the question here is, when will we see 3 wide at some point? Again, these cars, if this was the next gen series and you had the next gen Cup Series cars, you would see 3 wide almost right off the get-go. But with these cars, I think you got to leave a little bit on the table for later in this race. At some point, we will see someone bounce it up there. But right now, I think a little bit too early to be risking all of that, especially when you're in a good position up front.
And some of these drivers that are up front, known for wanting to go up front, take that charge, wanting to lead a lap, lead the most laps, and get a win. Those are the three ways to get bonus points here this evening, and every point so crucial to make sure that you move on into the playoffs. As a slight bump drafting from the 05 to the 12's back bumper. Scott Rickard not looking afraid here, Zach, of using that bumper. What's interesting to watch out for is what will the temperatures look like for the 05 that is using that front end so much.
They will quickly heat up. So folks out there, your grill on the front of your car is critical to cooling down the radiator, which cools down the water, which goes into the cooling the components of the engine, of course. So you need to make sure you got a lot of good, clean flowing air to that nose. At least at some points, we have gauges that will flash at us and let us know if our oil or our water temperature is over. And the first thing to go over will be that oil temperature. And that's what you got to do a good job of managing. You got to push somebody and get a little air in the nose. Push them and then get a little air again in the nose. It's really a work of art, I'd say, for some drivers, how they can manage those temperatures so well. And that's what you're playing with the whole time. You're not only just trying to push that car ahead, you're also trying to manage your equipment while you're behind you.
Ross State, I'm running in a lot of leagues and bringing covering for the second half of the year on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, leading the way on the inside lane, giving you a sense of what it's like to be this speed driver. And you're seeing the hands smooth on the backstretch and trying to stay as clean as you can and painted to that yellow line is this 21, as well as looking for any help. You see the mirror just full of cars behind him.
Is so many cars stacked up right now. I mean, we pretty much have the whole field all together. Nobody has lost the draft. 38 cars here within 3.5 seconds of each other. So everybody doing a good job right now to keep it kept up. But at some point here, it's going to become a little bit of a LA traffic jam. These drivers are going to have to find a way to, relieve that traffic jam.
And saw that again last night. Really a good cruise with the first series. Maybe a nicer cruise under the lights for most of the race. It wasn't under daytime conditions. Exactly on tires, and also going to be seeing these checkup and the cooling effect. That seemed to be what was causing a lot of wrecks last night. Curious if it's going to be even worse this night as the drivers are under the daylight conditions.
It'll be worse in my opinion. The handling condition that you get here is mostly a little bit of a tight in condition and tight off. So really no rear end stepping out, which is a good thing. When you don't really want to have the rear end stepping out when you're at a plate track like this, it really will scare you quickly if the car is a little bit loose. Luckily tonight it's mostly tight, but that makes it hard to follow. When you carry all this speed down the back straightaway, down into the first corner, you just lose the nose of your race car and it pushes towards the wall. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more and more separation between that inside and outside line when they go through the corners, as that outside line starts to get a little bit tight and wash up closer to that wall, and even see people get into the wall. And that'll lead to the condition of the hotter temperatures, as we're starting to see a little bit of three wide action maybe there farther back. But that hotter temperatures will lead to worse tire wear and will create a little bit of worse handling condition than what even the drivers last night experienced.
Driver that's willing to make some moves looks to be the 6 machine. Chris Wordle, one of the drivers that has been willing to go up to the third lane, also poke in the middle, trying to find any advantage to move forward, and once again finds a middle groove, trying to utilize the draft, seeing everyone else checking up and says, I'll take this position. The 6 up 11 spots, being one of our biggest movers of the race, of those that are inside of the top 10. And right now, no surprise, as he's getting very close with the 7 machine of Kyle McCoy, the 3-time champ of the Stars and Stripes series. Kyle McCoy wanting to get that 4th championship, as he wasn't able to crown himself last season.
A lot of aggression and confidence being shown by that 6 to willingly go in the middle of the racetrack there. That is a spot that right now I think is, kind of frowned upon by other drivers, because they're just trying to make laps at the moment and try to get closer to the end of this race before they try to make moves like that. But at the same time, if you ride back there and wait till the last second to go in this race, you're never going to get up close enough to the front of the field. That's why Chris Worrell's being aggressive like that. And, it's working for now, but at some point, some drivers not going to give into that middle groove, and you're going to see some contact that may lead to an incident.
And seeing that of the 6 moving forward, Waylon Turner, one of the other rookies. These are the top running rookies currently right now, and both of them trying to just get into that motion, settle in, find your spot that you want to be in. And, a couple of other drivers going with this different tactic, having to start deeper in the field. I know we got fan favorite, the 8 machine of Jason Pratt. He's only back in 35th position. and kind of in a waiting spot to be. That's not the worst position, but Zach, that track position we're talking about, it is so crucial at this moment because it's looking like you have to be willing to get aggressive if you want to move forward.
You start to feel that as a driver. You start to sit in those positions. Even myself as a driver, I felt like some points at last night racing that, I'm in a terrible spot right now. I'm in the middle of the pack. I need to go forward, but you really can't make anything happen. You got to let it come to you, and usually the drivers that let it come to them will be the ones that actually benefit from it. If you go out there and try to grab the bull by the horns, as they would say, it usually tends to flick you off, and then you're on your back and you're really not feeling the greatest after getting in an incident here. So it can hurt your confidence and really bruise that ego when you go out there trying to make positions up and you make a mistake that ends up collecting a lot of people. So it's one of those things here at Daytona that you got to really weigh the options of what you want to do. You know that you want to stay out of trouble, but you know also you got to be close enough to go for that win at the end.
Drivers that are willing to be aggressive, try to move forward. Biggest mover so far here tonight going to be Zachary Peterson in the 96 machine back in 17th position, and as well Joshua Altus back in 16th position. Both of them up that of 17 positions for Joshua Altus, 19 for Zachary Peterson, both trying to move forward as two drivers that did not put down qualifying times and just put themselves in the fate of who else was not going to qualify. Done a great job moving forward. I think that, first caution, first lap helped some of these drivers really advance forward and maybe recognize we got to get up front and get out of this trouble of being in the middle of this pack because you're not safe where these drivers are currently.
You really are not. You're pretty much playing with fate at this point. If a wreck happens, you gotta hope that the position you're on the racetrack, it just doesn't happen. And when you have 38 cars this group together, you're gonna have a lot of casualties when you have the wreck. So it's gonna be a lot of hurt cars out there if we do get some type of incident. But it's gonna be a wild one. You can see there. Look at this riding on board, looking back from the 96 of Peterson. You can see how tight on the entry it gets there for these cars. The two of Mike Lynch there almost knocking down that retaining wall. And we're only 16 laps into this run. If they have to go upwards of 40 laps, you're going to see that only get worse and worse every single lap.
You know what? The tendencies that I'm seeing these drivers dealing with this car, it's kind of reminded me of what the next-gen vehicles would have to handle at the New Atlanta. That tightness feeling of what they're seeing, it's bizarre to see. You don't usually see that nowadays with the current vehicles. We're talking about Daytona or Talladega on tire wear, but that is something that we will be touching on throughout the night. 17 laps in of 80 this evening. We're watching the Stars and Stripes Racing League Season 7. First race of the season for the Firecracker 200. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. And a lot of these drivers staying in pretty similar situations that they started off with 2x2 all the way through. And here's last season's champion, Andrew Hess, still mired in the middle of the pack in 22nd position, but just trying to settle in and find small ways to move forward as he's gone up just one position.
He's been trying to settle in, and it's hard to do it when you're back here for sure. And, going back to that comparison you made about Atlanta, Sam, I think that is a spot-on comparison. That kind of triggered a light bulb in my head, and it literally is almost exactly what you feel when you're driving that next-gen car around Atlanta. It's just not very wide. The car wants to push up the racetrack. You're fighting to keep it in the lane you're in. You're even having to lift. I mean, I don't know how many times at Daytona in the past, especially with other style NASCAR cars, that I've actually had to lift off the corner when the nose of the car is stepping away from me and I'm heading towards the wall. So it's a little bit of a different race here for sure tonight. And we can even see if we get a late race yellow or something where somebody gets some tires or a group of drivers get tires where they can make moves that other drivers will not be able to.
Tires going to be something to watch out for. Majority of the field have not made a pit stop after that lap 1 caution. Only caution of the day was on lap 1 after drivers stacking up into one another as we saw the 09 of June White, pole sitter, getting caught up in issue being spun off the nose of Ross Tatum. Well, the 09 update on where June White is back in 26th position in the back half of the field, but slowly marching forward as you see them by other drivers such as the 4 of Aaron Hale, but even deeper in the field, Ryan Chu, the 18 machine, a driver that's won this race all the way back in season 2. The only difference was back in the trucks, a completely different vehicle than what we're running here tonight.
And that's one thing, if people are new here to Stars and Stripes, this has been a full evolution every single season, it seems like, when it comes to, what car and track combinations they have. And, the ARCA car has been the only car that they've gone back to. And now the Gen 4 car after that will be another new car added to their edition. So this is fun to see how it's transitioned for them throughout all their seasons. And crazy to say they're already on season 7 of this illustrious league.
Season 7, also season 7 for WSSR last night. Other series that we covered here in Pretty Fast Broadcasting Monday night, ISRC Truck Series, and Back to Racing. This going to be Tuesday night is the Full Send Racing Series. We'll be back to 4 races a week. Some drivers feeling looseness sensations in the back half of the field. The 14 of Jonathan Woods really kicking out loose on the entry of the trial Volt. And Zach, that's another spot drivers got to be careful about.
They really do, Sam. The age-old adage is don't push in the corners, is what they used to say when they came to Daytona, where they kind of threw that out the window with all the car style stuff they do now with the tandem drafting. But when we had this car, this Gen 4 Cup Series car, they always talk about push on the straightaways, don't push in the corner, and the tri-oval is about as close as you can get to a corner on a straightaway. So that's why you're going to see some conditions there that have problems and get a bad bump draft right there on the entry, and you can really lose the rear end of that car, and that's where trouble can really start to happen. As it looks like we're starting to see a little bit more energy, and maybe some drivers looking to get up to that outside groove. Looks like maybe that's the 6 again, Laurel, up there top 3 wide, trying to make something happen all by himself.
Whirl has been willing to do anything that the 6 can, hoping to just move someone to follow into the outside lane. No one's felt comfortable to follow the 6, mainly because he's made so many daring moves that have almost caused accidents to happen. And it looks to be, once again, now forcing drivers to stay 3 wide. That's the 88 of Tia McNally stuck in the middle. Zach Wright's on the bottom side. Zach Wright's hoping for a good Daytona run for the 46. He has had dismal luck when we go to Talladega for super speedway racing when it comes to the end of the races, but when it's during the actual middle to beginning of our stint, 46 very consistent on being up front in the top 10.
Tell you the one thing that's wild for the 6 is he's able to keep up speed around the outside with no help from anybody behind or really anybody ahead. He's able to just stay right there somewhat in the side draft of them and keep this speed, and that's really putting an interesting look on through this field here as he's trying to make something happen, but a lot of guys closing the door.
I think the main thing that's helping him is the straightaways. Drivers like to stay, if you're on the outside, to the outside wall, which is forcing Tim McNally and other drivers that get forced into the middle just nowhere to go. They're stuck with not a lot of drafting assistance, and it's allowing the 6 to stay where he's at or move forward when he gets draft help, not getting it there. And that's why we're seeing Tim McNally having the nose ahead once they come across the line, but still side by side, 3 wide. Once again here at Daytona, this is the 6, the only driver that's willing to force it 3 wide. As we're 24 laps into this run, we have to be more and more concerned about tires as other drivers trying to get out of the way. It's like as they got spoofed. 07 going to be Zachary Nelson deciding to go to the back of the line after a bad exit at turn 2.
I think he saw what was happening with the 6 there, and he said, you know what, at some point, this is all going to come to some type of head here, and we're going to have an incident. And I tell you what, the 6 has been flirting with disaster a few times with how close he's been to the wall on entry. We'll see if he can keep it out of it, but he's definitely been the only driver really willing to go up there. And I'm not surprised with the handling conditions that you get in this car. It's tough to make it 3 wide, and especially do it for multiple laps like they're doing.
And if the 6 does get in the outside wall, the only positive of if it happens is the fact that no one else is really following him through the corners. So if he gets stuck in the outside wall, everyone should be able to get by unless he bounces off the wall and comes back across the whole entire field. That is the one concern that the field is hoping that does not happen. Well, as I say that, it's going to be Joshua Altus following in suit, the 94, wanting to get a little bit reckless on the outside lane, which gives the enough draft for the 6 to continue to move forward.
The 6 just jumps one ahead now back to the middle line. That's kind of what he's been doing the whole races. just jumping out and getting a few spots here and there. Now he's going to get to the outside of the 7, and Kyle McCoy's going to put McCoy in the middle. And that's just what the 6 has been taking advantage of. It's just small moves here and there just to get him, clear of people and get up ahead of him in the line. And he's a risk taker. We'll see how long he can keep doing that. So he almost makes a little bit of a move there, but the one cover up, Will Bustle covers it off.
Covers it off and settle in. Main reason we're talking about 6 so much is because these are tactics that we've seen later on in this race. Drivers green, like big moves you might want to utilize later on. As we're already a quarter of the way through this race, about to be hitting into the 1/3 marker. And it's all that Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin, they have been the lead 2 drivers since we had our last restart of lap 5. And no one's really been showing any signs of wanting to pass them. Instead, it's been the middle of the pack that's been doing us the great drama of drivers trying to bob and weave and make their way through. Biggest mover, again, is Zachary Peterson in the 96. He's been flirting with up 19 to 20 positions from where he qualified. Other drivers have been just staying stable from where they started in this race.
Right now, definitely getting a little bit better stability here for these drivers as they're trying to keep it straight. But I tell you what, man, I got to give them credit because a lot of them keeping it too wide here. You can get impatient as a driver and want to go bounce it out 3 wide and try to make stuff happen. But if everybody was doing that, it would equate to something real bad. And I think everybody here is just being smart here early, keeping it too wide and doing the best they can. But at some point, the 6 is going to bounce it back out 3 wide, so they're going to have to keep focusing on that. But right now, everybody too wide. But another thing is, too, nobody's lost the draft completely at all. We got 38 cars all within still 3.3 seconds of each other.
Yeah, not surprised at all. I mean, I think the one big surprise we can take away is the fact that there are multiple drivers who had to come into pit road and get over a minute of damage repair and are still able to stay attached. They aren't looking fast enough to maybe compete with our front runners. At least staying in the draft is a good sign, even with the damage that you might have picked up, as we are 28 laps in this race, 29 now, started lap 29 of 80. I want to give a quick shout out to some of the amazing sponsors here at the Stars and Stripes Racing League. The main 2 being ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing, and as well Next Level Racing being the 2 main sponsors. Thank you so much for everything that you do to allow us to stream the Stars and Stripes Racing League. As ButtKicker, go get yourself a gamer too. Go to ButtKicker.com. Get your feel what you've been missing, and as well, once you get your ButtKicker, attach it to Next Level Racing. Get your affordable racing rig today, as it's going to be seeing Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin leading the way for now. But the rest of the field now gets into the quick decision time of when do you want to come into pit road. Now these drivers can make it to the halfway marker of this race, but at the same token, you also could find drivers thinking about actually pitting sooner than that. If you got a good cluster of drivers, you got alliances, teammates, when do you want to come in? And Zach, I think that's going to be the big question to watch out for is, do you want to split this race in half, or do you think about shortening it and pitting a little bit sooner?
Technically, you could pit within 5 laps from to now and make it to the end pretty safely. 45 laps is about what they can make. But 46 to 47 is really what they can do if they do a good job of saving fuel in the draft. Lead cars where you have to worry about those situations, but around lap 35, that window will open up to where if you get from there on a full tank of fuel, you will be able to make it to the end of this race. So we could see people do that. And the reason for that is this race you kind of somewhat run like a road course. You run it backwards. As soon as you get to the window to where you can pit and make it to the end of the race, you go down pit road, because then if a caution comes out, you stay out, you cycle to the lead of the race. So it's one of those things where if you don't go a lap down, you really want to get those pit stops as early as possible, and especially when tires don't make the most of a difference when it comes to lap time. Now, they do help here for handling, but they don't really make too big of a difference for lap time.
A little bit of a shift for the lead position. Scott Rickard no longer wanted to be the second man in hand on the outside, decided to want to be one of the lead drivers. In the 05, a beautiful pass, pushing the 12 far enough ahead that allowed him to drop down low, take the lead spot for the inside lane, and it forces Ross Tatum back to being the second car in line on the inside. And now Andrew Medlin going to have a different duo to work with. It's going to be seeing the 30 machine, Joshua Robinson, working with Medlin.
Joshua Robinson here definitely looking to come back from last season after being a strong threat once again. We'll see what he can do in these high horsepower race cars once we get to another racetrack next week where it's not a plate track, but looking good here already on this course here tonight. But I tell you what, the draft is so powerful that you got to plan out these pit stops so well. So we're talking about pit stops coming up. What are the team strategies going to be? That's going to be the big case, because if you don't have a team to come down with, that's where you start to risk hitting at the wrong time. And that's where drivers are going to have to start aligning up here and figuring out how to get down to that bottom lane if they want to pit. So, you know, they can go another 12 laps here pretty easily before they have to pit. But I think from anywhere from 2 laps from now to the next 10 laps after that, we're going to see a ton of different strategies and drivers all over the place when it comes to who pits with who and who doesn't.
Officially, when you talk about teams, there are 8 official teams that have been submitted in running for a team championship, that being Spite Racing, Green White Checkered Racing, Track Autosports, Moonshine Mafia, that of Grim Roberts Racing, SXS Racing, that of Cyhawk Motorsports, Ron's Horse Garage. Those are the 8 teams officially that are running. Each team has 4 drivers attached with them. We're missing a few of those drivers that are part of those teams, but then we got a long string of free agents that are technically not affiliated with teams, and one of them being Andrew Medlin, not officially a part of a team, but has still needed to make sure he's got alliances to work with here this evening.
You need those. You really do. If you're flying solo out there and you really have nobody to bank off of when you're on a pit, it can get tricky. I mean, I've seen situations where drivers are solo and they're up front here in these situations, and then all the drivers around the pit and they have to do a lap all by themselves, no help or no draft, and it really makes it a tough ordeal when you're trying to do that. And you know, it can be those critical seconds where you have to come around one time all by yourself, that when you go to pit road, you come off pit road, you're now 1 to 2 seconds behind those drivers that just pit before you, and you're not going to be in their draft, and your race is pretty much done until some type of yellow brings it to a halt and brings the field back together. So it's so critical to have those alliances and at least have it figured out of, you know, who can I try to stick with here when we do come to pit road.
Well, as the drivers come across the line, we have officially entered the fuel window. Drivers can pit on this lap and take it to the end of this race if we don't go into overtime and have more cautions that blocks them up. So drivers are going to be in the talking motion. When do you want to come into pit road? Do we stretch the fuel out as long as we can? Do we just split this race in half? Or do we go with the undercut, pit early, get our squad of 5, 6, 7 drivers that can maximize their speed and run just as fast as this lead pack? Or do we come in with the biggest group possible? Another thing of note to watch out for, Zach, you touched on it, the brakes. Saw a lot of black flag penalties last night for the WSSR Cup Series because drivers were caught speeding coming into pit road, weren't able to slow down. That's going to be another factor to watch out for if we see a large pack coming together.
It really is, Sam. This is a huge thing that plays out with this car, more importantly than anything. When, you know, a lot of these drivers transition from other cars, and when you come to pit road with those cars, you can really jab the brake, get right on it, and it starts to actually slow down pretty well. This car, you have to be a little different. You have to ease into the brake, because if you just go and slam on the brakes, you're going to lock up those tires, and you're going to go straight, and you're not going to slow down. Anytime that tire is, you know, locked up on the surface, the braking of the rubber and helping you slow down is not helping you. So it's pretty much just like you're sliding full force ahead. So these drivers are going to need to make sure they have their markers set, and look here, already some pit stops being made.
And going to be seeing Joshua Altis, Zachary Peterson coming in as a duo, as they are actually going to have issues between the drivers themselves. Joshua Altis locking up the brakes, spinning out on pit entry. He went into the grass, and Zachary Peterson struggling to get into his box. Brake issues shown immediately, and Zachary Peterson caught with the black flag. He's going to hold in pit road for a while.
And not only that, missed his pit box, slid too far past it. And again, that's it literally backed up what we just said there. I mean, this is going to be super tricky to get on the pit road. You have to brake, in my opinion, at least 100 to 200 feet earlier than what you would in any other NASCAR style car here at Daytona. And it tends to lock the right front tire. There's a lot of front brake bias in these cars due to the nature of them really want to rotate at all the other tracks. So usually they tend to be pretty far forward. And when you have all that brake percentage towards the front of the nose, that's going to cause the car to really want to lock up those front tires compared to those rear tires, which will only just make you go straight on and kind of do what the 96 of Altis did there and just spin out as you're trying to get clear of that grass.
And Altis, in recognizing the issue that he's in with his teammate and deciding to both just stay in pit road until the black flag and service is done before they can take off as a group. I like the call to do so, but man, is that losing so much time. Both drivers going to be 1 lap down, potentially 2 laps down, as the lead pack is flying by to catch up to him.
Everybody here still waiting in this group.
Oh, caution! Yellow. And it's going to be June White caught up in another one. And it's as well going to be the 14 of Jonathan Woods. Trial issues strike the 14 again.
Oh, and this is so tough for June White, as he just kind of got spun around there. And I think when we do see this incident, it's going to be one of those ones where I think it's just a driver didn't get the call from their spotter that they needed to, think they were clear, and there was a car on that outside up about 2 lanes higher than them, and that can make some interesting situations. So, man, that's tough to see here, Sam, that this happened. But the guys, like Altis and Pearson, unfortunately, they went lap down from pitting, so nobody really benefited from a pit stop here.
No, and for that, Zachary Peterson should be able to get the lucky dog spot, and then going to see Altis take a wave around to get back onto the lead lap. But this is what brought out our caution. Watch out for the 14 white machine on the inside. Just going to fly up in the 09's quarter panel. And like you said, Zach maybe thought he was clear, was not, and just spun around the 09 like it was nothing.
Definitely did. Yeah, I think he was feeling like he was clear, and he went to go make the move up. And when you make the move like that to go up that high that quickly, you're pretty sure that you're clear. So I think that was just a simple, just a little bit of lack of awareness there from the 14, and maybe just didn't get the right call from the spotter. Sometimes these things can be finicky, and so it makes it tough. And even they slid through pit road there, they're going to need to get those black flags possibly clear for them for an unsafe exit of pit road as they spun out there. So tough situations, but it happened right around the pit sequence. I'm not surprised. People are trying to find a way to get into the lane they want to be in.
You might be wondering from that camera view, well, you could see from there that he was safe. Well, that's not where the driver's head naturally is sitting. That's a lot further up and a lot harder to see if you were clear, if you're not able to look to your left or right. The 14 collecting June White in the 09, and Jonathan Woods, June White, luckily, even with this spin, didn't get into the outside wall. I think that's one of the biggest things for them both to take away from this, and both will stay on the lead lap, just have to come into pit road, which the rest of the field making this crucial stop. This could be the last and final stop of the evening if drivers feel like they're comfortable to take the tires all the way to the end of this race, and kind of takes away the drama factor of watching out for pit stops and any more mistakes that could have happened, like we saw from Joshua Altis and Zachary Peterson. Instead, everyone gets in their box, 4 tires and fuel, and let's get out there and race again.
I really would have loved to see the whole 38 car field out to hit pit road under 25 conditions. It's so tough, man. Altis and Peterson really showed it. It's just really, really easy to overestimate how far you have to, or underestimate how far you actually have to start braking, and it's just super tough. But now with this caution there, like you said, takes away those mistakes. Now we're gonna have just a straight on race, and I think you might see, due to that, the aggression level pick up because these drivers know they can make it to the end now. We might see more drivers willing to bounce it up to that third lane with the 6 car.
Well, with that, drivers are done with their pit stops. They're getting ready for the rest of the second half of this race, and it's a perfect time for us to step away for a quick commercial break. Thank you so much for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the Stars and Stripes Racing Series. We are going to take a commercial break. We will see you right when we go green in a few moments.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back to green flag action for the Stars and Stripes Racing League. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. Zach, this restart up front was clean, but deeper in the pack, it was not. Some drivers caught up in a mess that didn't bring out a yellow. So for some drivers, they're upset. Others, they're just happy that we're back to green flag action.
Went back and looked at that, Sam. It looks like the 100 car of Victor Class A. It looks like maybe just missed the shift. I don't know if he went into, the next gear down when he was trying to go up to 4th, went from 3rd to 2nd, and unfortunately Thomas Ogle was there. Zachary Peterson was involved. There was multiple guys hitting that at least stay green because it just wasn't enough cars, and they were off the racing surface.
They were off the racing surface. There was no oncoming traffic to be collected with those drivers because they were all in the back. Doug Pierce, Zachary Peterson, both forced to use their faster pair as they drive at a pit road, and they're going to go multiple laps down. The lead pack, though, Andrew Medlin, Scott Rickard, feeling confident and comfortable and right back to fresh rubber and willing to be aggressive. It's the 6, back to the high line, and he's got a friend now. Kyle McCoy wants to get the action. The 3-time champ leading the outside lane, and they're getting a little frisky, recognizing tires and track position. This is the time to get aggressive.
Well, I tell you what, it has definitely shown that for sure, Sam. It is definitely the time they were aggressive. I felt like this was going to be the case. They know they can make it to the end of this race. Now it's all about getting yourself up towards the front, the battle for a win late in this race. And they know track position is going to be very vital, and we're going to see it 3 wide for a lot of this last part of this race.
And once we start to see 3 wide action, you're kind of trapped. You got to pick the lane, pick little slots to move up and down if you want to move forward, and trust that the lane that you're in is moving forward. 3 by 3 by 3 is the front row. The only driver that's not. It's Scott Rickard leading this race. He's staying down below. The momentum seems to be holding a lot steadier down there. And Zach, it looks like the middle and top lanes finally starting to find that momentum.
It really is. That top side is rolling right now, being led up there by that 12 of Andrew Medlin. And I tell you what, they got 4 cars up there, and it's really making it work a lot better than possibly even what we've seen, throughout much of the night. I mean, it just shows you Worrell was able to make it work by himself. He gets 4 cars up there, and it's able to work even better. And I don't know what lane personally will be the best. I feel, at least from what I learned last night, it feels like all 3 lanes are very viable. It seems like it just needs to be the right push at the right time to get yourself ahead. And right now, it seems like the bottom working the best with Rickard leading the way out of 2. But you're going to see down the back straightaway, these outside lines carry much more momentum.
I think also when you're looking at the drivers, this chopper camp, blimp camp really giving us the best showing of which lanes are able to stay closer, compact with one another. You saw it on the backstretch. It was the outside lane, so they get the better momentum entering the corner. But it's the middle lane that's able to carry the better momentum until you see the wiggle in the center of the corner that backs off the 30. And then on the exit, it's the inside off the exit of turn 4. You're seeing 2 different ways that the exits are looking. It looks like the top side, best on the exit of turn 2. It's the bottom that looks better on the exit of turn 4. I think Scott Rickard might have learned where he wants to be on that white flag as long as he doesn't get wrecked.
I think he has learned that for sure. I mean, he's been leading the last few laps of the line, and that's what you want to know is where you need to be when you cross the line. It doesn't matter if you don't have the lead right here. You just need it when you do get that checker flag. But I mean, this is cool to see right here how these guys are making these 3 lanes work as well as they are, and it's keeping it nice and clean at the moment. But as we go longer, the tire wear starts to kick in. That confidence level of keeping your car in the right lane is going to get slowly harder to do. These drivers may run into some issues the farther we go along.
And the lane I'm most concerned about, just watching the trends from that first stint and then what we're seeing currently. Oh no! Drivers, issues on the apron. It's going to be our champion from last season, Andrew Hess. Mike Lynch, contact as they were entering turn 1. The 2 and the 54. The 54 gets the worst of it as the 2 starts to putter along. And that was on the apron, so no yellow flag was thrown as we're entering 30 laps to go when they cross the line. You're seeing Andrew Hess starting to move his way forward. But for the lead, they are happy that they stay green because the 12 is taking that lead spot.
He did a great job, and he jumped down to the bottom in front of the 05 of Scott Rickard, and he's looking to hold on to that. And the big thing here also, coming up on 3 lap cars, the 100 car, the 11, and the 39. 3 of them right here, Doug Pierce, Thomas Ogle, and Victor Class A. And this could get a little mixy here. It looks like they're holding the bottom for the time being. And with us 3 wide, there's not going to be really anywhere from the go.
No, the smartest move for these 3 lap cars is go down to the apron. That's exactly where they're going, except for the 100 of Victor Class A, who's going to be making the pass, then dropping down low. Again, cannot advance your positioning down below the yellow line. That's why the 100 had to make that move to make sure you didn't get penalized moving forward. And that was a scary move in front of the field.
It definitely was an interesting one, too, to kind of flirt with disaster as he's going through the corner back there as he's trying to get off the apron onto the racing surface. But, yeah, I think he was probably worried about not making the right move there and ended up, causing a wreck. A good thing he got out the way. But right here, we're seeing Ross Tatum. He's able to bounce it up to the middle lane and lead that lane now as he's jumped out from behind the 05. And now he's trying to get himself up here in position. And now even Kyle McCoy leading that very top lane. We'll see right here who has got the momentum and where's the powers. This is a cool shot right here.
Interesting shots being shown as we're taking a lot of different camera views to see what's happening around the field as drivers on the outside trying to build the momentum up. One driver, though, that lost a lot of time and may fall out of losing the draft. The 4 of Aaron Hale got into the outside wall as the rest of the field, 3 by 3, almost 4 rows deep is this group as Kyle McCoy and that of Ross Tatum and the 12 Andrew Medlin leading all 3 lanes.
Oh, and they're wrecking behind. Zachary Nelson is wrecked on the front straightaway, and that's going to bring the yellow out. And Brian Burchett also slow as those 2 wrecks. So the 33 and 07 involved in an incident that'll bring us to yellow. Oh, they wrecked there.
Looking to see what the heck just happened up front as drivers were trying to slow down. Everyone, I think, just had a little bit of a scare moment as they were trying to get through and slow down because they were 3 wide. A lot of drivers just deciding to bail out instead of getting caught up in the mess more.
Luckily, everybody did. I thought I saw a puff of smoke there for a second. I was like, oh no, they're wrecking up front. Luckily, everybody was able to get slowed down there. But Zachary Nelson and the 07 machine involved in this one along with Brian Burchett. And, you know, a little bit of a probably just a bump gone wrong more than anything, a way of saying it. And it's so tough, man. Again, these cars, they do not like being touched with the front bumper to the rear bumper. They just do not match very well. And mostly that condition comes down to the scan of the iRacing model we have here, is we'll get to see what exactly happened. You see the 07 there of Zachary Pearson, that white and black car behind the yellow one. Going to get into the back of that car as it was a little bit of a checkup up ahead, and he's going to send the 77 of Leyland Turner sending around. And now the 07 of Zachary Nelson going to come down, and he's going to hit the 07 right there, who I believe that is Brian Burchett, I believe.
That is Burchett. Burchett almost deciding to try a Clint Boyer reenactment of trying to slide on his hood across the line. Luckily stayed on all 4, was able to continue moving forward, but hard contact for all those. Burchett getting the worst of it, acquired damage for the 33 as he'll have to go into pit road. And just like I said, a bad bump into the tri-oval. We've seen drivers get loose there. It's one of those spots you really don't want to be giving any types of bumps to another driver, but sadly it happens, brings out another caution, and now it's a giant question mark for the majority of the field that have already used one set of tires. We had our last pit stop back at lap 43. Do you come into pit road, give away that track position for some better rubber for the last 25 laps of this race?
Well, I think if you're outside the top 20, not a bad idea. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of guys farther back. Maybe got a little bit of damage here, beaten, banged up from a few incidents that didn't bring in a yellow, coming down, getting them some tires, getting their cars fixed up, and get ready to go back out there for this final dash to the end of this race. And the others up front, not willing to get up their track position. So that's what they're all thought about right now, is just keeping as much of their self up front as possible. So we'll see what happens for the guys that do take tires. Can they have a little bit more maneuverability to make the 3 wide moves that we've seen being happening here? Or do they just get mired back and stuck back in the mess? That's always the question that you got to play out when you're coming to Daytona.
I mean, so many different scenarios can strike at Daytona, and sadly, fan favorite, have to announce, is parked it. Jason Gratton seems to be done for the night. He has left the server with a loss of connection. You hate to see that for the 8 machine. I know the fans love to see if Gratton can run well. Looks like tonight will not be the night for the 8 machine. But something we haven't done tonight just yet, might as well give it a try. Let's talk to the driver that's leading this race and get his thoughts on how this run is going. It's going to be the 7 of Kyle McCoy leading the way. Let's even queue up that 7 machine. Kyle McCoy, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
Hey guys, good to hear you.
Oh, it's great to hear you as well, Kyle. Being up front, got to see some great 3 wide action for those last couple of laps. Man, how are you feeling after the chaos up front?
Man, that was fun times for sure, to say the least. It's crazy. I don't just tell my guys I don't really know where the best place is to be right now. I don't want to be on the bottom because it's going to bog down, but I didn't really like where I was on the top there when we got all those lap cars too. So I don't know. I'm going to take the top. We're going to see what happens.
Yeah, Kyle, I'll tell you what, it is definitely tough to pick the right lane, my friend, but we'll see how you can manage it from that top position. But, you know, talking about the handling condition of these cars, how much does that play in a factor in choosing the lane?
Yeah, it's these cars don't drive totally straight. They're definitely a little squirrely. I took 2 tires on my pit stop, so I am loose in on the corners right now. So hopefully we'll be able to hold them off. I'm just going to try to make sure I can take a couple big pushes, and kind of my main focus is to make sure I don't lay a bad block, because that'll get me wrecked right now, and it'll be impossible to come back up through here. So we're going to give them a shot and see what happens.
I mean, Kyle, we know that majority of the field still has a fast repair to work with. Do you feel like that's going to be causing the kind of aggressiveness to ramp up even more than it would traditionally be?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy no matter what, because once you get 2-3 wide and you get bogged down in that lane, there's nowhere to go. So everybody's fighting for this open space here on this restart while we're going from 2 to 3 wide. So yeah, fast repair definitely, I mean, helps, but at this point, even if you have to use it, it's going to be too late. So Hopefully we don't have to use one of those.
Hopefully not. Well, Kyle, we'll send you back to your team. Good luck on this restart. Hopefully we talk to you later on tonight.
Appreciate it, boys.
As that is going to be the 3-time champ of Kyle McCoy leading the way. He'll be starting on the outside. Like he said, deciding to pick the outside lane. Feeling a little bit more comfortable, but he better not feel as comfortable. He's got a driver behind him that's been willing to go 3 wide immediately. The 6 of Chris Worrell, who we've been talking about, the watch-out driver. He has been willing to be aggressive since the start. Might be the one to watch out for, to be aggressive right on the beginning of this launch. Ross Dayton's been up front all night long. Qualified seconds, been practically in the front row all night long. It's time to see how these drivers can handle less than 25 laps to go. Will the fresh tires be it for everyone that's back in 20th on back, or will the old tires hold on up front? As here we go, pace car is off and into the oh no, they're wrecking on the pace. Oh, somebody misshift as there is an issue. We did not be able to take off. We're into the restart zone and immediately the caution flag waves. Zach, what the heck just happened?
Oh man, that was a major log jam there. I believe it was in front of George Kovacic. It looks like maybe it was Timmy McNally who was having the problem of getting it going. And from there, it stacked up with Kovacic. I think Bowling was in it, the 38. Appearance, the 3 car was involved, the Christian Lashen. And man, I tell you what, that's so tough to happen right there in the restart zone when we're about to go green. And, you know, unfortunately, just it shows you again, any type of checkup in these cars, it doesn't, you know, normally with other cars, with the way the rear bumpers are, you just bump that person forward or you spin them out one another, but you pick the car up physically and it causes major issues. It's something that personally, even I wish that maybe we could see change with this car, is to bring the super speedway package. And what I mean by that is these noses on the front of these cars and just how they're built in general. This is the intermediate style car, the look of the car is. And with that, it has very aggressive curves on the nose, which makes for those bumpers not aligning. When they actually raced this car at the super speedways and NASCAR in the mid 2000s, they had a different front bumper and different rear bumper that they put on these cars at the super speedways, just due to the aerodynamics and the ability to help push each other. So hopefully at some point we get that. It's just, I know iRacing doesn't want to be doing too much scanning of things because, you know, this car was kind of not even meant to happen, and it just was a coincidence.
And they're way too busy working on the rain to get that in before they can start working on other stuff. Well, it's just going to be a 1-lap restart for the drivers. For those that got required damage, that's the 3 machine of Christian Lashen, who's going to have to come into pit road and get that damage repaired. But we're about to go back to green flag racing. Unfortunate scenario to happen. A lot of drivers that maybe wanted to come into pit road to get damage repair, not able to do so. And pace car is off. Let's try it again. Back into the restart zone. The Firecracker 200 at Daytona is back underway. Kyle McCoy, great launch for himself. The 6 as well, a good launch. The inside lane kind of caught sleeping, but will it backfire for the 7?
What does this 6 do? I think you might see the 6 make the move down low here aggressively to get to the inside of the 7, but does not do it here. Once he jumped to the outside, looks like he's looking to get there, Sam. He's definitely been the one willing to bounce it out there at any point, but now the insides come back. Ross Tatum fighting strong with Andrew Medlin's help.
I'm curious on how this vehicle, when we were talking with Kyle McCoy, he talked about the feeling, the looseness that he was having. Maybe the 6 was feeling that same looseness, doesn't feel comfortable on the inside lane, and feels a lot more comfortable on the outside. Stays with Kyle McCoy. Continue to go side by side from front row. Not a lot of movement for the drivers further on back to go 3 wide. You have to go all the way back to Ryan Lynch, who just took 4 tires, who's willing to maybe bounce it 3 wide. This back half group, they could be the danger zone of mixing things up front as we're inching closer and closer to 20 laps to go.
At some point, somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to get impatient. They're going to bounce it up 3 wide, and we're going to have a run to the front up there, because I tell you what, that 3rd lane worked very well. That's even how Kyle McCoy, Andrew Medlin, all of these countless numbers of drivers got that lead. And at some point, drivers are just going to be willing to risk it that weren't earlier. And now, as we're 2 wide for the moment, I don't think more than 5 to 6 laps before we see someone try to bounce it up to that top.
And we going to look for a teammate potentially to work with. You got some that are up front, as it's going to be the two rookies of Chris Whirl as well as James Lowe. Those are the two teammates. They're going to try to work with one another from Moonshine Mafia, but they are not in the same line. They are technically just trying to find an opening to get in line with one another up front. Back out in the field, still searching on when they're going to make the move, but I mean, based off of what we've seen, when they are willing to start get 3 wide, that's when you know you've already lost your opportunity to battle for the win potentially. So some of these drivers, they might have to make their move now, and already some movement being shown as we hop on board with Dylan Grimm on the outside. One of the drivers that qualified well, right now looking for any spot is Will Bustler. Gets shoved to the 3rd lane, and he's going backwards.
Going backwards, no help for Will Bustler up top there, and that's the thing. You want to go up there and make the moves, but if you have no help, you go backwards just like that happened, and Will Bustler just got to settle in. But it looks like Dylan Grimm maybe in the 23, maybe looking a little bit, and that's what drivers are going to do. They're going to take the little glances out there to see if that driver behind you will, look to maybe make the move out there with you, because if you're not communicating with them as a team driver, you kind of just got to go based off of what you see if a person will go with you. So it's always fun at plate tracks to look in your mirror and say, you make a little move, duck out to the outside line or a little move to the inside line, and the driver behind you goes ahead and follows you, then that kind of gives you reconfirmation that maybe they'll help me out if I do make this move.
Who is going to be your friend late? You built up the alliances, the friendships before the race, maybe even during the race, started to see someone you like to work with. But we are now in the no friends, just get me up front zone of if you're up front, you're most likely hoping that the driver behind you is your best friend, because if it's not, they're most likely going to ditch you to go for a win or better position at the end of this race. Ross Tatum been up front leading this race, and there's only been one other driver to lead the most laps and win a race, win here at Daytona. That was Ken Campbell back in Season 4 in the Gen 6 Cup car, where Ken Campbell led 26 of the 80 laps that were ran that race and still won. He is the only driver that's been able to do that. Everyone else, except for that of Brian Chu back in Season 2, has led 4 or less laps to win the race. Who could be that shining star to pop up at the end of this run and just lead a lap? The last 2 races, Christopher Wade has led a total of 3 laps in the last 2 races when they ran here at Daytona, and he's won both of those.
We haven't had his appearance yet tonight. We'll see if that 53 can get up there. Right now, he's about 8 cars back on the bottom lane. So he's kind of mired back right now, but still plenty of time. I tell you what, looking back at WSSR last night, there's a few drivers that were mired back in it, and they ended up finishing up towards the top half of top 5 positions. So it's really it doesn't matter where you're at right now, but you just got to make sure if something does happen, you make it through it to keep that track position and gain some.
Absolutely. Last season, Christopher Wade led 1 lap, and that lap, he started officially on that white flag in 8th place and won the race. So it's not over if you're stuck inside of the top 10. You got a chance if everyone wrecks out, but you got to make sure you place yourself in the right position late, and it looks like the 53 finding some openings, able to close in, but we're still waiting on the true big one. It's not a if, it's a when, especially with these cars, Zach. Any wreck at any moment could strike. It could be on that white flag, or it could be with 3 laps to go that could change everything.
Oh, at some point we're getting a bad bump that is going to make something happen. It might be the white flag lap, and then they race to the checkered, and I can tell you that much. When people start wrecking in, it's the white flag is the wrecking farther back. Looks like Aaron Hell, maybe Mike Lynch, Derek Offerman, drivers involved in it, and they're spun around. The 4 is here on the front straightaway, and that will bring out the yellow there, Sam.
Caution flag is out. Heavy damage for drivers deeper in the field. Those that are up front able to slow down and woe up on the backstretch once they were to get into some space in an opening. But the 4 of Aaron Hale heavily damaged, and a couple of drivers that were already caught up in some bad wrecks also even damaged more. Doug Pierce already used the fast repair, caught up in this mess. A driver that just got required damage. That's the 77 of Waylon Turner, who's going to get required damage after this incident, as he's caught up in another wreck for the 77.
Unfortunate to see there for the rookie and our past champion. You'll get to see Andrew Hess here from his defending off his last season's championship. he luckily gets through this wreck here without having any incidents. He's going to be right behind the 4, up top, 3 wide. The 4 Aaron Hill. He's going to have the 20 of Derek Offerman, the 2 of Mike Lynch below. And I think this is just 2 drivers going for a similar spot. It looks like Offerman maybe comes up, Hill a little bit down the racetrack. They go for a similar spot on the racetrack, and they just come to a collision. And from there, the 20 gets into the 77, like you said, of Waylon, and just nowhere to go for him. And from here, the 4 is going to get, I believe, clipped, he's going to get clipped right there, and that's going to launch him up in there. And again, another car coming through the 100 hitting him, and that spins him around as Victor gets into the back of the 4.
Yeah, what's surprising, Doug Pierce as well as Victor in the 100 both did not get required damage for them in that incident. I don't know how they didn't, but somehow they were not forced to come into pit road. I think they're going to come into pit road, get some damage repair. But this makes things even more interesting for drivers that still have 2 sets of tires to work with that are deeper in the field. Do you come into pit road, get that fresh set so you got some good rubber to work with, or do you just stay with the track position that you have? As this is our 4th caution of the race on lap 66, looks to be most of the field staying out on track. So we are going to step aside. This is going to be our last step aside for tonight's race. When we come back, we're going to take you to the very end of this race. Who's winning the Firecracker 200 at Daytona? We'll find out after this commercial break. You're watching the Stars and Stripes Racing League Season 7, race number 1 here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes Racing League Season 7 race opener at Daytona, the Firecracker 200 here this evening. Welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you are just joining us, welcome to the show. It's the perfect time to be here because it is the final dash to the end. Who is winning here tonight? It's going to be a great race on who can get it done. Ross Tatum's been up front all race long. Kyle McCoy, 3-time champ. He's hoping to dip his toe into victory lane. But man, we got to give a huge shout out to the amazing sponsors that allow us to give you this great coverage of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Starting off with ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Go get yourself a game or two from ButtKicker. Going to ButtKicker.com. Get yourself a purchase. Instead of just hearing sounds, why not feel them? And once you get your game or two, why not go head over to their second sponsor, and that is Next Level Racing. Go to nextlevelracing.com, get your budgeted racing rig, feel comfortable, feel like a driver, and elevate your racing to the next level. Thank you so much to the amazing sponsors that are with us. It is time to take us to the end. Zach, this is going to be a good one because we've seen some great 3-wide action, but we haven't seen up front make too many mistakes just yet.
We haven't seen too many mistakes up front. Really, the only one was the very first initial start. We got to see the contact between Ross Tatum and June White. And ever since then, the up front guys have been completely clean and green. I mean, it's really been a lot of stuff that's been happening behind them. But, you know, those laps clicking away. We're getting almost to 10 to go here now. I think up front at some point here, we're going to see push come to shove, and somebody is going to have some upset feelings here leaving the night.
We talked about tires being so crucial. Back at lap 42, a majority of our front runners, that's when they took their first set of tires. Kyle McCoy still rocking with some very old tires. I believe he said he only took fuel on that last stop. So he's got the oldest tires and is up front trying to lead the way. But Ross Tatum has been the most controlled driver up front. The 21 is going to hope to get into victory lane. As we enter the restart zone, we're back to green flag action for the Firecracker 200 at Daytona. The inside lane, a lot more grouped up, and watch out for this run as they enter turn number 1.
Let's see, what does Kyle McCoy do here? Does he let the jump down low, or does he wait up top? He got a huge jump in the box there. That's something you normally don't see the leader tend to do too often when it comes to Daytona, and he's paying the price for it. You can see, was not able to get hooked up with Andrew Medlin. Now the 21 gets pushed clear of the 7, and the 6 almost does too. I'm telling you what, that 6 would have got clear, you probably would have seen him bounce it up top, but luckily the 7 gets the push finally from the 12 and the driver's behind, and is able to pull himself back alongside that 21 machine.
6 machine of Chris Worrell has been the most aggressive driver when trying to force it 3 wide, but he hasn't been finding a lot of help to do so. Now box to the inside lane, haven't seen him there at all here tonight, but his teammate, the 99, James Lowe, the third driver on the outside. What is the 99 going to do? Because he's got a past winner of this race right behind him, Brian Chu, Season 2 winner of the Daytona opener. Where will the 18 go? This is the best chance Brian Chu has had in so many seasons to get back into victory lane. With us coming to 10 laps to go when they cross the line again, anyone's got a chance at this moment.
Here we go. Looks like the 99 of James Lowe, he jumps out first. Will Brian Chu go with him? It looks like he, at least for the moment time being, has done so. But will they drop back down? Because it looks like they have gotten clear and they will get back to that middle. But, man, it's showing James Lowe, he's willing to risk it here. He wants to get aggressive and go to the front.
And we talk about other super speedway racing at Talladega. A driver that's in my mind to watch out for, circle it up, the 05, Scott Rickard. He's been known to make aggressive moves late that places him in a position to get into victory lane. Yet to win at Daytona, but what a crown it could be to finally put on one of the most winningest drivers of this series. Same with Kyle McCoy. Both looking for their very first Daytona win in their career. They both have over 20 wins in this league, higher than any other drivers, but they yet have one to win this one, Zach. And how crucial could it be to stamp that in their Stars and Stripes history books?
It is so crucial. Everybody is, as a NASCAR driver, anything NASCAR related, wants to win at Daytona. It is literally the home of our racing series. It is definitely where we kick off everything and where we decide a lot of situations. And not only that, just to start your season with the win, that is the momentum you want to see. And someone like Scott Rickard, we know how fast he can start off his seasons. I would not be surprised to see that 05 up there contending for the win here when we get down to those last 2 or 3 laps. 9 laps to go, and the two drivers that have had the biggest issues on internet side by side, and that's the 9 machine of Patrick Hastings, the 44 of Kyle Bowling. They both have been blinking in and out in the middle of the field. It's been giving some scares, and both of them inside of the top 10. Could someone that's been having issues, oh no, they're going to be wrecking in the back though. Big wreck here. George Kovacic, I mean, he was flying into the catch fence. The only thing that kept him at here at Daytona International was that catch fence. And I tell you what, some others that were around him doing similar, but it all started around Kovacic, as I think Andrew Hess was the driver and the one that really went flying more than anybody.
Yeah, the 54 champion is struggling here tonight. Last season's champion of the Stars and Stripes Season 6. Gonna have to settle back in as we're gonna get the replay of this incident. Might get a couple of different views on it because of how large this one was. And these drivers were all battling for 20th position, Zach, when this incident happened. Once again, it's the back half of the field that's been struggling to keep themselves out of trouble, but it's that track position that we've been talking about and harping on all night long that could be forcing these types of wrecks.
It really is. I tell you what, this one right here, I think what we're going to see is a good old-fashioned accordion effect. And fortunately for the 54 of Andrew Hess, he gets woed up to where he doesn't run into the car in front of him. But you're going to see he's going to have the 65 of George Kovacic directly behind him here heading into 3 and 4. And when that 54 does check up for the car ahead of him, Kovacic's not able to get slowed down fast enough. just rams into the back bumper and again launches the rear end up. Look, even the 46 of Kreitz there getting hit by Whalen. Now there's Burchett, and then the 38 of Brandon Pierce. All these drivers, when you hit somebody in the rear end, it just launches the car up in the air, and that's some type of contact we're just going to see continuous with this car at even other racetracks.
And with the amount of drivers caught up in this mess here are those with required damage. Derek Offerman, Zachary Peterson, Thomas Ogle, and Jason Gratton, all with required damage. Majority of them still had a fast repair to work with, so their race is not officially done just yet. But Zachary Peterson looking to be done for himself, as he does not have a fast repair to work with, nor do I believe that Derek Offerman. So those two could be done here tonight, as getting a ride and see what it's like to grind and right on the wall, the safer barrier wall. And not the best moment and feeling to have for a driver is being right against the asphalt, sliding your way down here at Daytona.
It didn't look as good as when Lightning McQueen did it, unfortunately, for the 54 there. It just, that's tough. That's a tough situation for our past champion. And you know what? Daytona's like this, man. You don't know what you're going to get. And when your night starts off bad and you're involved in incidents, usually you get caught up in more stuff just because you're farther back in the mess. And yeah, that's kind of how it's been for Andrew Hess here tonight. He'll look for a bounce back next week here at Stars and Stripes, and I'm sure he'll be looking to definitely defend that championship in the best possibility of himself.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen there were a few races that didn't go for Andrew Hess's way. Michigan last season was the major one that he lost a lot of chances. He was up there contending for a win, but got caught up in a wreck. And also Daytona was not the best showing for the 5. But like we said, plenty of all the other intermediate tracks is where we've seen Andrew Hess be the most dominant. And watch out to see how Hess kind of brings himself back into the fight for the rest of this season. But for the drivers here tonight, about to be 6 laps to go. It's going to be around 5 to go when we go back to green flag racing. And Zach, once again, drivers further back in the field, if they still had a set of tires, they just took their last set. Drivers up front sticking with their 30-plus old tires, lap-old tires. They're certainly, the grip level's not there to make big moves, but they're going to have to do it.
They're going to have to be willing to risk it here for sure. And, this is Daytona. You want to start the season off with a bang, so you got to go out there and risk it for the biscuit, as they would say. So I'm sure someone's going to be willing to do it. The 6 is back up top where he's like to be, as he's going to restart in that 4th position, paired with Kyle McCoy. Ross Tatum going to have control down there on the bottom with Andrew Medlin. Oh, man, this is going to come down to some heavyweights here to pull off this victory. And even, guys like Joshua Robinson, who has been somewhat quiet here tonight in that top 5. Brian Chu, who's made his way up there. James Lowe, somebody like that getting a win. That could be such a storybook ending to their night here to start off their season with a victory.
I mean, the biggest movers right now inside of our top 10 is that of Chris Whirl and that 6 machine on the outside to be starting in 4th position, up 18 positions. Other drivers up aggressively up high positions. Trey Jackson, who we talked about, up 11 positions back in 19th and 20th position, as well as Max Ward, who we haven't had a chance to really talk about. Both of them have been just staying out of trouble. And honestly, that might be the best way to go out for the rest of this race. If we get another caution before the white flag, this will send us into overtime for this grouping. And if we don't go into overtime and this race gets to the white flag, this race becomes official. And if their wreck happens on the white flag, no yellow flag will be thrown. It's all about getting to the line first. And if you're someone who's been patient back in the back half of the field, you still have a chance if the big one strikes. It could just get very testy on who will be there at the end. Thank you so much for everyone who's been with us throughout this whole entire race. Welcome to the final dash. 5 laps to go. Pace cars pulling off. Who's winning the Firecracker 200 at Daytona, the Season 7 opener for the Stars and Stripes Racing League? Ross Tate has been up front all night long. Kyle McCoy got here at the halfway marker. And here we go. We're back to green flag action.
Great start from both lanes. It's a dead even start, and that's because they waited for that green flag to fly, unlike Kyle McCoy, who jumped out to that big lead the first time. Ross Tatum did not want to do that. And now, though, it's going to be dead even with the 7, just a nose ahead entering the corner. But through the corner, that's where the bottom will prevail. But as soon as they get off the exit of the corner, this outside is going to start to roll.
It's all about who can get to the back bumper first and get that assistance. And on the outside, that is where the assistance is. The 6 and the 7 working as one. But Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin, and also seeing James Lowe inside lane and muscling their way forward. But the 7 having a half a car length ahead, but not for long as Ross Tatum takes the nose ahead.
That is one thing we noticed that is just a little different than what we see with the next-gen cars and the trucks and the Xfinity Series cars here, is the side draft is not as powerful, but it's still there. You can get a slight side draft with these cars, and it will pull them back, and that's what's keeping these guys nice and even through the straightaways and into the corner. This is going to be a close finish here if we keep this going.
4 laps to go further back in the field. Going to be the first car to go 3 wide is Dylan Grimm. No one's going to be helping out the 23 machine, but who will be the first driver on the outside to give up on Kyle McCoy and say, I want to win this race. I want to be that leader. Again, watch out for the 05, and there he goes, showing the nose to the outside. Scott Rickard, no one following suit as close as he needs. Patrick Hastings needs to get close to the 05. He'll fall back in line as we're heading to 3 laps to go.
No help that time, but look, here we go. They're jumping up to the top anyways here, as it looks like it will have some help now as the 05 is going to push that top group, and we'll see who can have the momentum here as they're going 3 wide for the lead.
Joshua Robinson, one of the favorites to win last season's championship, well, now has a chance to win here at Daytona to start the season off. Gotta be careful, though. The 30's getting a little bit wiggly. Scott Ricker's right on the back bumper, the middle lane, staying close, but it's that third lane I'm getting most concerned about. They were looking very out of control. Keep it together, but they're 2 boxed in. This is it. 3 laps to go. Will they survive these 3 final laps?
Looks like the 30 can't keep his cars pinned as low as Scott Rickard wants him to, and that's creating a little bit of separation there between those two. Not able to get it to work, but here we go. It's going to be side by side with 2 laps to go here at Daytona, and the 30 now fighting back with the help of the 05.
3 wide, 2 rows deep, out to be further, but it's Scott Rickard muscling the 30 machine of Joshua Robinson, keeping it equal, but they're ranking behind for that of 12th on back. Everyone caught up in this one.
Big incident here, and that one really collecting a lot of cars, as I think that all started around the 53 of Christopher Wade and the 1 of Will Bustler. All those drivers in that area, I think maybe 4 cars going for the same positioning on the racetrack, even the 5 involved in this one too. Is that was a wild ride there for those guys in the middle of 1 and 2.
Trying to go 4 wide at Daytona isn't the most positive thing to go after, but seemed to be what happened here once you get the replay up of drivers just, it's late in a race, you're going for every single spot possible. As you can see, the openings throughout the night have been just searching for every little piece, but once again, Zach, like you said, searching for the same spot, but there just wasn't enough room.
Just not enough room. You see Wade there in the 53 on the bottom. He's got the 5 of Trey Jackson there to his inside, and it looks like the door was open for him to go down there, but Bustler was closing it, and the 5 just kept trying to open it. And when you try to close the door and open it at the same time, that's when you're going to have issues. And that's when everything came together. And it looks like Christopher Wade's chances of going back-to-back victories here at Daytona does not look like they're going to be possible unless something majorly changes.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to go back to back to back and not able to do so. And June White caught up in another winner. Pole sitter, again, showing the unluckiness. Once you get the pole award, you do not find success once the race goes green. But you could take the crown, the fact that you did get a pole award for the season. If you're June White, excited to see what June White's going to give us later on in the season as we take another look at how this incident went down as we're riding on board with the 09, just squished, pancaked into the wall, and nowhere to go.
I mean, he just climbs on top of the cars ahead of him, and I think the one thing he will take home of the award of going the farthest on the racetrack without their wheels touching is he got carried for really about 50% of this corner here by multiple cars, and he's going to finally land on his wheels. But again, yeah, it shows to that trend, Sam, that it's just not good to qualify on pole here. Maybe people will start to keep taking note of that and try to lift a little bit as they come to the line.
And now we are into the danger zone for drivers because we have officially entered overtime, ladies and gentlemen. And with most leagues, they all have overtime, but the difference here at Stars and Stripes, it was a rule that was brought in all the way back in Season 3 to change out from instead of having 3 overtime attempts, you only get 1 chance. Zach, the pressure is on. This is going to be our last restart of the night.
Oh, that's going to make everything that much more aggressive. Guys know if the caution comes out quickly, they need to be making up spots to get those points. And we know, I mean, it could be a position or two here or there at Daytona that could come down to make the reason why you don't end up in the playoffs later in this season. Drivers are going to get super aggressive. If we get to the white flag, then it's all holds bar, as they're going to be pretty much everybody attempting anything in their power.
I mean, I'm thinking back of Daytona races. Once you go into overtime, the position you want to be. It seems like recently you want to be in that 3rd, 4th position. Like about a year ago, 7th to 8th place was the lucky position to be because drivers usually would wreck the first 2 rows and you just find yourself with an opening to take the win. Here tonight, if we can get the white flag, that's the key thing. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to the white flag to race this one out to the end because of how aggressive the back half of the field has been. They're just not giving any openings for the drivers up front that are behind our top 2 to even have a chance.
I completely agree with you, Sam. It's going to be a weird situation here. There'll be which spot will be the best is going to be the question. And I don't think you can know. I really don't. I think it's just going to come down to, here and there moments that, one driver makes a bad block, one driver makes a good move. It's going to equate to something happening, and you never know. It could be the guy in 10th. It could be the guy in 3rd that ends up coming out of it unscathed and end up being the winner. But I will tell you this, if the caution does come out before we get back to that white flag and it ends the race, it's going to be interesting to see how it lines up with where iRacing sets them up. So that's the thing that you got to always equate in your brain is, which lane do I want to be in? Where position do I want to be? If we do get the white flag where I want, it's so much to process in such a short time, going over 200 mile an hour while you're doing it. And it's going to probably end up here a little bit of bent fenders and some bent up sheet metal. I'm pretty sure of that. But if not, we might get one of the best finishes we've ever seen because all night long it's been pretty even between all 3 lanes.
The front about 10 have put on a great show all night long, and it's down to this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final restart of the night. If you are just joining us, well, you just picked the perfect time to watch the final restart. We are officially in overtime. If we get a yellow flag on this first lap, we will finish the race under yellow. But if we get the white flag, the gloves are off. It's all about who crosses the line first. Rules to watch out for. You cannot advance in position going below the yellow line. Drivers have to stay on the racing surface once we go green. So who can block the inside lane? Who's going to find the help? Who's ditching who? It's time to find out. We've had plenty of wrecks, plenty of carnage, and it's down to this here tonight on who's going to get the win. Crazy enough, Zach, this was our 6th caution. That makes it 3 races in a row that we've had 6 cautions here at Daytona. No more will be thrown unless we get another yellow. Pace car is off. Back out of the field, struggling to get rolling, but into the restart zone. The Firecracker 200 is back underway for the final restart of the night.
Ross Tatum with a little bit of a nose ahead there as they come out of that first little area of the start zone, but it's going to be the outside with the help of Joshua Robinson to the 7. Who's going to be the better pusher? That's going to be the question. Will it be Andrew Mellon? Will it be Joshua Robinson? And who's the first to jump up 3 wide? I had to bet that 05 might be the first one to do it.
Scott Rickard has to make the move, or going to be seeing Joshua Robinson, and looks to be a little bit of a wiggle, not so confident with the momentum they have. Instead, they'll settle for this moment, save the time. Further behind these top 8 drivers, think about going 3 wide up front. It's Kyle McCoy, Ross Tatum, trying to keep the nose ahead. If a yellow flag comes out, the race ends under yellow, but if we can get to the white flag, this race becomes official, and it's all about crossing the line first. They look stable to make it to the white flag, and they will. It's your freaky fast white flag. Ross Tatum leading the charge on the inside. He's got a good buffer to work with. Andrew Medlin not going to be putting the move on until right now. Here we go, Zach. Who's winning the Firecracker 200?
What a move by Andrew Medlin there. That's going to allow him to get to the lead of the outside groove. And with the push of Kyle McCoy, they're having a good head of steam down the back straightaway. What does he do next, though? If he gets clear, does he drop low, or does he block the top? Because Scott Ricker's got momentum with the help of the 30.
No help going to be in the middle lane. It's all about the top lane or the inside. Ross Tatum has been dominating all race long. He's led the most laps, the 21, hoping to continue with the crown. Watch out for the run, though, on the outside. Will the 21 move up to block? He won't have to. Here they come across the line. The 21 open for the win, and it will be Ross Tatum by a nose.
What a push from the 6 machine. The 6 of Chris Worrell really did wonderful there to make sure that 21 had a good head of steam, and that's what got him the win at the line over Andrew Medlin. And what a close finish as they wreck just past the end of pit road.
14 thousandths of a second between first and second, and it's Ross Tatum beating out Andrew Medlin and winning the Firecracker 200 here at Daytona and taking the opening win. This 21 machine has been strong in the past couple of seasons, and it is a pleasure to see him get into victory lane once again, as Ross Tatum might be the one to watch out for this season. And what a race to win with a dramatic 3 wide across the line.
That was very dramatic for sure, man. That was awesome to see. And Ross, you know, this guy has been deserving a win for sure, because I mean, I don't know how many times we've seen over the leagues that he's run here in Freaky Fast, how many times he's been snake bitten or finished second, just coming up short to get a victory. And to see him get this one here tonight, that's some good momentum, because this guy is a tough competitor and a great race car driver.
I mean, we've seen him finish second plenty of times on Tuesday night. This will be his 4th career win in Stars and Stripes. His last one was back at Rockingham, and then he also won at Bristol and Kentucky last season. And tonight, he finally can say that he's a Daytona winner in the Stars and Stripes series as he gets to burn it down, enjoy the smoke show. But when we come back, it's the post-race show. We'll talk to Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin, Chris Worrell, as well as a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Race number 1 of Season 7 is in the books for the Firecracker 200, and it was a close dash between Kyle McCoy and Ross Tatum, but it can't be Andrew Medlin and Ross Tatum, excuse me, but it all was Ross Tatum. Led the most laps, didn't look back, and got it done. The 21 into victory lane. Ross and Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on winning the Firecracker 200. Man, how are you feeling after that one?
Guys, I feel great. I was not expecting that. I don't come into these Daytona races expecting to finish. After last night, feels good to come out with a finish. So just feels good, man. Just a testament to everybody in this league, man. They do such a good job racing and racing clean, and it was just a lot of fun. A big track position race tonight, but all in all, it worked out for me.
That was kind of what I was going to get at, Ross, is how big was the track position, man? Because you qualified up there in the second position, and it seems like you never left the top 5. I mean, I feel like that has to be such a critical point to you being in position here tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about these cars, man, but you just cannot pass. And, if you get back to the third row, you're just pretty much done. It's just very hard to pass in these cars here at Daytona. Pretty much just stagnated. Medlin he was so smart that first run. He was just staying up top, never pulled down, and it just basically bogged everybody down. And it was a super smart move. Kept both of our track positions, so I was fine with him running up there the whole time. So. It was just a big time track position race. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's also just the nature of Daytona. Daytona is always track position, but still just a crazy fun race.
It certainly was that. And Ross, with this win, you now lock yourself into the playoffs. How does this help you moving forward into the rest of the season? Does it take that pressure off, or are you still in that mentality of I'm going to win every race?
It feels great, honestly, just because I haven't won a ton this year. It's been a pretty much a dry year for the most part, so feels good just to get that win. That's a confidence booster, even though it's Daytona. It's not the biggest skill track or nothing, but the fact that I can just kind of work on the little things I need to work on this season, because these cars are still like the regular ARCA cars that I struggled with last year, so it's going to take a lot of getting used to, and hopefully with the win I can be a little bit more lax and a little bit more take a few more chances and trying to figure stuff out, and maybe hopefully win some more races before the playoffs.
We can't wait to see how you perform, Ross, moving forward. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Thanks, guys. First and foremost, I got to thank Will Bustler. He paints all my schemes. He did an awesome job on this coat paint scheme tonight. And I also got to thank Marconi Setup Shop. They came on and let me run some of their their setups and officials, so that's cool. I got to thank everyone in the league. Nate does such a good job with this league, just bringing in good drivers, good talent. I got to apologize to Juan. I did not mean to wreck him at that start. I just was not expecting him to jump up there like that. And then just got to thank Freaky Fast, man. You guys are the best. I love going back and watching all these broadcasts. All the events you guys do, the podcast, everything you guys do. It's so awesome. And, I recommend anyone watching, if you need a broadcasting network for your league, call these guys up. And just everyone in the league, fun night.
Well, that is going to be Ross Tatum. Thanks, Ross, for all the shout-outs. The 21 machine will win the Firecracker 200, booking his ticket to the playoffs, and again, to carry this momentum forward. Good luck, Ross, next week at Las Vegas.
Thanks, guys.
Well, as we go from victory lane, let's head down to second place. Andrew Medlin tried his best to steal the win at the end, but it just wasn't close enough. Andrew, with Sam and Zach up in the booth, congratulations on second, man. How are you feeling after that one?
I'll tell you what, pretty excited. I got some good practice last night in the Roasted Gems season debut, and applied a lot of what I learned in that race tonight. And I mean, the fact we kept it 3 wide so long in this race and didn't all knock each other out was pretty impressive. I didn't think that was possible, but definitely hearts pumping, pretty excited. Really thought I was going to sneak away and get the win there at the stripe, but Ross Tatum got a well-deserved victory, and the shot coming into the tri-oval he needed to edge me out by a couple feet.
That he did, Andrew. Well, it was so close for you, man. Just came up a little bit short, but it's got to still feel good to come home in that second position. But we talked about it all night, with last night's race being in the nighttime, this race in the daytime. Did you feel any differences between the tire wear? Because we noticed last night the tire wear was definitely pretty high. The handling was big. What were you feeling out there tonight underneath that car?
Yeah, I mean, Zach, obviously we're dealing with hotter temperatures today, and maybe not everyone's experience was like mine tonight, but I actually had better tire wear. So go figure. I don't know how that happened, but maybe it was just because I was committed to the outside line so much in this race. And like I said a moment ago, I just thought for sure, as we got on these long runs and you got 15, 20 laps on these tires, you're really going to have that pretty aggressive push coming out of the corners. And I just thought for sure, there's no way we're going to be able to stick it 3 wide. But, the gods of iRacing played with us a little bit. We had good handling tonight, and we pulled off some pretty exciting 3 wide racing.
I mean, Andrew, we look at the team rosters for everybody. Everyone's practically a part of team. For yourself, how was a team aspect, or were you just kind of looking and searching for anyone to work with throughout the night?
I mean, yeah, Sam. I'm really here to chase trophies this season. With some other commitments, unfortunately, I wasn't able to commit to full time this season with Stars and Stripes, which is, my first iRacing league I joined a few years ago, and been here every season. So, certainly a bummer to not be here every race with these boys this season. But, wanted to give it my all. I love super speedway racing. I know pretty much everybody's got a shot at winning these races, but really would be nice and special if I could have snuck away and got the win there. But as far as guys I'm working with, there's so many names and drivers I've gotten used to running around for seasons now. And I mean, got to give a shout out to, Ross Tatum, Scotty McCoy, or Scotty McCoy, Scotty Ricard. He gave me some great pushing early in the race. Kyle McCoy made some awesome moves there at the end to get up front and make it interesting. And I appreciate, his aggressive but yet cautious, bump draft in there coming to the stripe. But yeah, and I mean, even some of these new guys, Chris Royal, just raced with him for the first time, got to know him. He's very clean, very good driver. So luckily, a lot of friends. Even though I wasn't on a team, I still worked with my guys at Grim Roberts Racing. And they were helpful throughout the race. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
Well, Andrew, congratulations again on second place. It was a pleasure to watch you run here tonight. Can't wait to see you back out on track whenever we see you back out on track. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, certainly. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my beautiful wife, Sarah, my father, Bruce, brother, Aaron, who's watching each and every week, the entire Medley family. We just got back yesterday from our first family vacation in 15 years. So while everybody else was enjoying the sun, fireworks, and swimming pool, I was inside the entire time watching freaky fast racing videos, studying up, getting ready for this race. But partially true, not entirely a lie. But also give a shout out to my teammates at Grim Roberts Racing. Dylan Grimm, June, Diego. Ryan Lynch, who just joined the team this season. Again, I'm not officially on their team, but worked with them some tonight. And the boys at Storm Motorsports, you know who you are. Appreciate all that. And last but not least, obviously the sponsors of the league, ButtKicker, Next Level Racing, you guys at Freaky Frost Broadcasting that do a first-class job each and every week. And last but not least, the league admins, Nate and them boys at SNS. Appreciate running the Stars and Stripes and look forward to get back on the track with you guys here soon.
Can't wait for it, Andrew. Congratulations once again for second place, and good luck on the next race we get to see you at.
Appreciate it, boys. Have a good night.
As we go from second place, let's go down to third. Talked about Chris Wordle a lot here tonight, and let's see how the six is feeling after being one of the most aggressive drivers all night long. Comes away third. Chris, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You got us?
Hey there, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Chris. So we saw you be very aggressive early on in this race and throughout the runs, being one of the few drivers wanting to go 3 wide constantly. But man, how are you feeling coming away with third?
I feel good. I'm glad to get a podium and talk to you guys on my first start. Would have liked to win it there, but the cautions kept falling, and just kept, I was in the wrong position every time they'd fall. But it was a fun race, to say the least. There at the end, I didn't want to necessarily wreck Ross, but I was trying to make friends. I don't know a lot of people in the league, and I wanted to help him get the win there. So I gave him that extra push right at the line, hoping that might, get him across the line in front of the 12 car. I don't know if it helped or not. I know I caused a wreck there at the end, but I was just trying to help Ross out. I'm glad he won it, though. Congrats to Ross.
It was definitely an awesome finish there, Chris, man. Congrats on the great finish there, bringing him third. But next week we head off to Las Vegas, man. How you feel heading into that race and trying to get your season on roll?
Looking forward to it. One of my better tracks. I feel pretty good or strong at the 1.5 track, so looking forward to it. Should be a good race for me.
Well, Chris, we're excited to see how you're going to perform here tonight, being a part of the rookie class for season 7, the highest finisher of all the rookies. Can't wait to see how you perform next week at Las Vegas. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
You guys putting on a good broadcast. Can't wait to watch tonight's broadcast. The Moonshine Mafia, my teammates James, George, and Brian. Thank Nate for putting on the league, and that's about it. Hopefully, I'm not too sure of the sponsors yet, being the first race. So whoever our sponsors are, thank you for putting it on for us. Look forward to next week.
Can't wait for it, Chris. Congratulations on 3rd place, and good luck next week.
Thank you, Sam. Y'all have a good night.
That's going to be the 6th machine of Chris Worrell going to be coming away with a 3rd place finish. Well, there was another driver interested on how his thoughts were with how the night finished out. That's going to be Nate Lynch, who kind of came out of nowhere to come away with a 6th place finish, trying to march his way further up, almost got the top 5. Nate, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You got us?
Yep. How's it going?
It's going great, Nate. Congratulations on 6th place. But how are you feeling coming away with a finish like that here tonight?
I call that a win. I mean, I ran about that 10th to 15th all night, and I was telling those guys it was impossible to pass or make any ground up on Daytona. I mean, it's just sit and ride most of the race, and once it got 3 wide, then you start seeing some jostling up, and yeah, we made a little headway there at the end.
It definitely was tough to pass here tonight, and you did a great job there to get yourself up there, Nate. So congrats on that, man. We head to Las Vegas next week. I think there'll be tons of passing opportunities there. How do you feel heading into the 1.5 miles?
I was just telling these guys I will have to miss next week. So, yeah, it should be. I think it'll be plenty of passing too. So you should have a good race.
We hate the fact that we're going to be missing you, Nate, next week. Well, the race after that should be an interesting one, going to that of Richmond. How are you feeling about going? We're heading to going to that of Michigan. How are you feeling for these next couple of races that you are going to be coming back for?
I do like Michigan. That's one of my better tracks. But again, with the Gen 4s, I haven't had a lot of time. And there's a lot of us that haven't raced them a lot. So it'll be interesting, and you'll probably see some new names up there from last year. So, Michigan's typically one of my better tracks, and it's wide enough. I think you'll see a lot of passing and tire wear, so should be good.
Can't wait to see you back out there on track, Nate. Well, before we let you go officially, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Thanks to you guys for doing this again. Good win for Ross. Thanks to my teammates, ButtKicker, Next Level Racing for sponsoring us. But yeah, hard to believe this is the 7th season already. Just appreciate all the guys coming out, and we got a lot of new faces, so should be a good time.
Certainly should be. Congratulations once again, Nate, on 6th place, and we'll see you at Michigan in 2 weeks.
Yep, thanks guys. See you.
Well, as we go from our interviews, let's take a look at where the drivers finished, how a chaotic run to the end. A lot of the wrecking happened after they crossed the line, so drivers were right on top of one another. I'm wondering how close? Well, our top 24 drivers all within a second of one another, trying to grab every position possible. 28th on backward, really drivers were falling off, but our top 10 gonna be Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin, Chris Wordle, who did give that shove that enhanced Ross to get the win. Cal McCoy comes away 4th, Scott Rickard coming away 5th, Nate Lynch 6th, 7th goes to Kyle Bowling, Joshua Robinson falls to 8th, 9th goes to Brian Chu, and Patrick Hastings coming away with a top 10 finish for the 9.
Great finishes for those drivers all around, but as we look through the rest of the list, that pole position has come back to bite once again. Gene White there starting on pole. I'm going to finish in the 18th position. Our past champion, and also Andrew Heston, 16th, not too far up ahead. But Christopher Wade, last season's winner, 22nd. And lots of other drivers, newcomers that just did not have good nights here at Daytona. But they got a chance to turn it around. They got Las Vegas on the schedule next week. And I'll tell you what, that place is going to be fun to watch. These Gen 4 Cup Series cars, Sam's, I'm ready for this season because these things just give opportunities all over the place for these drivers to race and pass each other.
I'm so excited for it. I know I've been watching the WSSR getting prepared for their season. I know you guys ran at Las Vegas and testing The track is wild to see these Gen 4s running at. I think also one interesting note, listening from Ross Tatum, Andrew Medlin, Zach, the fact that both of them run on Wednesday nights. Same car, different schedule. So they're not going to have that assistance they had this week of testing on Wednesday to bring that knowledge into Thursday night. Curious on how that's going to influence them moving forward, if it's going to help one league over the other for the way that both schedules line up.
It is interesting, you got this coming Thursday, it'll be Las Vegas. Then the Wednesday after that, it'll be Las Vegas for them. So they do kind of get that back-to-back with the learning there. And I'm telling you, doing a race in these cars, you will learn a ton. It is so valuable to learn how you got to drive them and how you got to do it. And it's something you can take in each and every track. So I think with drivers competing on back-to-back nights like that with the same car, it's going to bode well for them. They're going to get double the amount of time on the racetrack than other drivers, and it's just going to really, I think, equate to a lot of those drivers having success.
Cannot wait to see how it's going to translate. Well, for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we want to say thank you to everyone that stuck with us throughout the whole entire race and through the post-race. Thank you for watching here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting throughout the week. This is going to be the last week that we only cover 3 races a week. Reasoning why? We're adding another league next week, Tuesday night. Full Send Racing Series has their opener. Cannot wait for it. We're back to 4 races a week that we get to cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Starting off Monday night, ISRC Truck Series as they continue on their regular season. Like I said, opener for that of Tuesday night, Full Send Racing Series. WSSR gets their second race of the season rolling on Wednesday night. Then Thursday, we're right back here for more action. Las Vegas, the next spot to go. It's the Sin City Shootout at Las Vegas. Tonight, it was all Ross Tatum leading the most laps, winning the race, the 21, feeling good heading into Las Vegas. Will he gamble away his winnings or will he double down? We'll have to find out. But for tonight, thank you for watching with us. My name was Sam Dyer, Zach Hall with me, Robert Moyer running productions in the background, and for everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching, and we will see you Monday night on our next Freaky Fast Broadcast.